All right. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for logging in tonight. And the way that the weather looks outside, this is a great place to be at home and listening to some really good content provided by East Union High School and the Project Soul of Sacramento. I am Tarsha Taylor Godfrey. I'm the vice principal here at East Union. Our principal, Mr. Mora, should be logging in very soon. And there he is right now. And I wanted to talk to you about something that's really dear to me. And I've asked a couple of guests that I'll introduce in a moment to speak with us and educate us on vaping and just the things we need to know about how it's really impacting our community at East Union. Really quickly, Mr. Mora, before we start, did you want to say good evening?
Yeah, good evening. Just want to thank Ms. Godfrey for putting this together. I think these nights have been really valuable, and I'm looking forward to getting a lot of exciting information. These have always proved to be very valuable to our parents, but I think also to all of us who are part of the East Union staff. So thank you once again, and welcome all of you, and thank you for joining us.
So there's going to be a slight change on the agenda. Instead of having the counseling team on tonight talking about registration, our scheduling is a little bit off this year with our registering for the fall classes. So I asked if they could kindly come and meet with us for our March meeting. It'll be March the 25th, and they will give us some more insight about A to G and high school graduation and registering for classes in an online environment. Next, I did want to make a quick announcement that our 8th grade night is going to be next Thursday night. It's a Zoom event hosted by Miss Kano and some others, counselors and things. And then also, one of the things that we're working on as a administration staff at East Union is ways to educate students about behaviors. And so over the past few years, we have watched an increase of one particular behavior on the campus, and that is, of course, the vaping that students do. I wanted to share a little information with you about our school data. And I just kind of want to look at, can you all see the suspension data?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so in 2017, let's look at these 2 years first. And I really want to pay attention to where my cursor is, where it says illicit drug related. In this situation, a listed drug, of course, would be an illegal drug like marijuana or THC. And for me and what I've seen with students start vaping flavors, and then they very quickly start moving to using cartridges, THC cartridges and things. And I think our guests will talk a little bit more about that. But I want to pay attention to this column right here. In 2017, this is the school year ending in 2017, we had 8 student offenses with illicit drug related. These statistics are coming from DataQuest, the California Department of Education data center. In 2018, the very next school year, there's another increase. So we started with 8, and now we're up to 13, as you can see. Let's move into the year 2019. Look at that jump, 33 illicit drug related. And most of these are THC cartridges with students with vaping apparatus on campus. And then 2020, and remember, 2020 was the year that COVID came into our lives. And so we didn't even finish the school year, and we were already at 22 of these illicit drug-related suspensions. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind as we go through tonight, because we have been on campus very little this school year and have already had an incident or two of students who are vaping on campus, and they're only here 2 days a week, and they just started school, a couple weeks ago. And these addictions are really taking a hold of the students and their ability to cope with school. So the SOUL project is collective and a nonprofit. They work with a number of people and organizations and county, I don't know, they can explain a little better than I can, but my personal experience with the SOUL program is that they trained a good number of my BSU students last year with Miss Jackie McFadden. And my students had the opportunity to learn so much about the community, where these tobacco and vape shops pop up, and how frequently you find them in one community and not another community, how close they are to schools. They learned about redlining and the community demographics and how these things are orchestrated against communities of color and communities who are a lower socioeconomic level. Additionally, the students went to the Capitol and they went to advocate for legislation against having these vaping places near schools. And if you don't know this already, but right across the street from our school in the Rayleigh shopping center is none other than what? A vape shop. So what the program does is wonderful. The way that they open the students' eyes is amazing. They work very closely with the BSCU still, the California BSU organization, but they also were just really quick to say yes to my call. And I want to show you this video. Okay.
Tarsha, while you're setting that up, I was just going to go ahead and share. We've also seen some of the patterns, again, not only the lower socioeconomic, but we've also seen a lot of our special ed students become the ones who are vaping on campus, usually in one specific restroom. So that's another pattern I think we kind of want to look at, the type of student, that we can hopefully speak to. And we talked about having something included in our study skills classes, because we did see a pattern that was very alarming with a lot of our students. Again, for a lot of different reasons, they tended to be the ones that were more flagrant on campus, and I think a lot of them also, not only the obvious discrepancies with coming into lower communities in the vape shops, but it's so accessible. We saw an increase when things were being bought online. We talked to several students, where'd you get it, of course, and all that. And a lot of them were getting just, online. And it's even scary because we have seen, no telling what those chemicals are, but we have seen students too, pass out and kind of freak out on different chemicals because we don't know what's in there. So, especially the wax pens, they seem to be causing a pretty alarming effect with some of our students. So just wanted to include that information, data.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you guys see SOUL on your screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
1 out of 4 African Americans smoke, and 1 out of 4 persons at or below poverty level also smoke. Initially, I didn't notice it. Tobacco ads or alcohol ads in the community, they just kind of become a part of the fabric. But then when you become aware that the industry itself is specifically marketing to you, you start to notice exactly how much is in your community.
If you can change a policy like restricting the sale of menthol and flavored tobacco products from being accessed, you have really changed the health of an entire community.
The SOUL Project advocates for smoke-free, healthy communities. So our project specifically advocates for African Americans to quit smoking, and not only to quit, but to stay quit.
What we want to do is reduce tobacco use in the African American community in the Sacramento and the Gold Country region of California, and we do that through policy and advocacy work. We have 3 objectives that we're working on right now, and those have to do with reducing secondhand smoke in outdoor areas like restaurants, parks, that nature. A second objective we have is to restrict menthol and flavored tobacco products, and those types of products are targeted specifically to African Americans and youth. So we work with lawmakers to reduce access to those kind of products.
We joined forces with the Soul Group and started collaborating. It took us a couple of years, but in the end, we adopted a policy that will limit where tobacco can go, keeping it away from schools at a farther distance. And probably the biggest step we made is we limited what type of tobacco products can be sold in the city of Sacramento. Those products that clearly marketed young people will be gone. They won't be on the shelves in the city of Sacramento any longer.
Our third objective is to engage youth. We want to teach them how to do this kind of work that we're doing and the rewards that they get.
Soul really brought to this dialogue the voice of the youth who are saying, you're targeting us. You are marketing to us. You're using characters that are meaningful to our generation. You're using flavors that adults would not be interested in. And this is going to change the trajectory of the lives of our generation. And that needs to be addressed.
One Community Health was really excited to partner with the Soul Project. They're very easy to work with. They are able to break down information, so they're able to work with all levels of community members and help them understand what resources are available to them and how to help. It's been a great partnership, and we're really excited about that.
I have to say I'm proud as a public health servant and also a member of this community. The work that we do with the Soul Project and with Haluna Health as a partner has had some very important long-term successes. It lets us know that the work that we're doing in the community resonates long-term, that we're not just here to pass a policy and move on to the next community, but that we are making a difference in the hearts and the minds of people over the course of time.
So without further ado, you guys had an opportunity to watch a video with the beautiful Twyla Laster, and she is here with Richardson Davis, who is our presenter for the night. If you have any questions, please add them to the chat. Ms. Laster will be minding the chat and answering any questions. But thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight and educating us in this way. Okay, I cannot hear Richardson.
Yeah, I can't either.
All right, how's that?
Perfect. A little bit louder, Rich.
Louder?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. All right, how's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Tarsha, for having the foresight to play that video before we get started. We really appreciate that.
Can you guys all see my screen? Yeah? Okay. All right, sweet. All right, well, thank you guys. And thank you again, Tarsha, for that intro. I really appreciated that. I always love watching that video. Maybe that's to my own horn, but I said it anyways. Anyways, my name is Richardson Davis. As I was very politely introduced a little while ago, I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with Saving Our Legacy Project, the Soul Project. And I also have Twyla here, our project coordinator. You want to say hi, Twyla?
Yes, hello again, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. And again, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. Grateful to be here to talk about some of the impacts of teen vaping. And like Tarsha said earlier, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. And if you have any questions after, I'll be sharing my contact information. So if we want to contact each other, that's totally cool. All right, guys. So as you heard in the video, Saving Our Legacy, African Americans for Smoke-Free Safe Places advocates for healthy smoke-free communities and for African Americans, youth, and other populations who suffer disproportionately as a result of social conditions and tobacco use. And so some of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about vaping, how all smoke is harmful. We're going to talk about the predatory marketing of the vape industry and tobacco industry. Then we'll go over the dangers of vapes, health difficulties, what to look for. And lastly, we'll go over the quitting resources, and we'll have some sites with some more info to give you. So this is the team. This is the staff, the squad, whatever you want to call it. We got Kimberly Bankson Lee, Twyla Laster, as we just met, myself, and Abdulaziz Atasi. And so we have a total of 6 objectives centered around these 3 topics here. We encourage decision makers to adopt policies and restrict the sale of flavored and menthol smoking products. Update the smoking definitions to include like vapes, and to recruit and train youth to participate as advocates in tobacco prevention. So before tobacco use was made into a business, it did have some ceremonial uses. Tobacco was first cultivated and utilized by Native Americans for traditional and sacred uses, and casual smoking was known as sacrilege. It was not a norm. But when used by indigenous people, they would not inhale it all the way we do in recreational use. It has 2 totally different purposes. And if you look at the pictures on the slide, one picture, they look a little bit different because one of them is mass produced and another one is grown in the wild, naturally. So slaves that were stolen from Africa specifically to farm tobacco crops in large demand. And after centuries of slavery, African Americans are still some of the biggest consumers of mentholated products due to a lot of predatory marketing and harmful marketing also to other communities of color. It's very prominent. So, as we know, all smoke is harmful. Cigarettes, hookah, vapes, cigarillos, and marijuana when smoked are all dangerous to the smokers and the smokers around them. The dangers of secondhand smoke is that it can stay in the air for up to 3 hours, travel for up to 2 weeks and up to 20 feet. There's no risk-free level of secondhand smoke exposure, and even brief exposure can cause harm to your health. It's estimated that secondhand smoke caused nearly 34,000 heart disease deaths each year during 2005 to 2009, and among adult non-smokers in the United States. Excuse me. So the risk of vape products and flavors promotes a whole new generation of smokers, kind of like what you were showing us in the statistics earlier. So vaping is the inhaling of vapor created by an electronic cigarette, an e-cigarette, or a vaping device. And youth are specifically marketed to with new technologies and false messaging from the tobacco industry. They claim that vaping is a quit smoking method, but these tactics are ways to keep people smoking, just kind of a new thing to turn the leaf. And then the effects of vaping and the chemicals contained in the oils are hospitalizing and killing youth and adults alike. Most youth and first-time smokers start with a mentholated or a flavored product. So a federal survey shows 27.5% of high school students have used an e-cigarette in the past 30 days. This survey was concluded in 2019, and researchers found that youth who lived in homes with strict rules were far less likely to use tobacco than those in permissive homes. When teens lived in homes that forbade all tobacco for all residents, they were less likely to use it than kids whose parents just simply talked to them about tobacco. So the vape industry has some social campaigns that promote vaping as a carefree and a mature habit, which most youth want, to be carefree and mature. That comes off more modern and trendy than the cigarette. And as you may know, Juul was one of the leaders in creating vape devices. That's why Juul has become a verb. You know, it's just like, are you juuling right now? Or can I have the Juul? But Juul has become a verb. We hear it all the time. And so when you hear that, that usually means some type of vape device. You could hear juuling and it won't even mean an actual Juul. It could be any vape. So initially, Juul's online presence and their social media was very youth popular and trendy, but their website is now tailored to a clinical approach for quitting adults due to a lot of suits. And I'm fearing that, and I'm featuring Juul ads because they're one of the first and most popular brands marketing towards youth, and there were several vape products on the market like Blue, IQOS, and Vapresso. And all these devices are, they go from chargeable devices by USB to disposable devices. Okay, so photograph below, we have the co-founder of Juul Labs in the House Senate, and he is swearing that his statement about vapes having less risk than cigarettes. Juul paid charter schools $134,000 for a summer camp to teach kids about healthy lifestyles, which is a huge red flag as they are a vape company. In April 2017, a Juul representative visited Dwight School in New York and met with students with no staff present, and they were talking to the kids about how their products were completely safe. These events are what led to these events here of him having to testify. So EVALI is a name given by the CDC to a new identified lung disease that's been linked to vaping. EVALI stands for e-cigarette or vape-associated lung injury. And there's not one particular chemical inside of pods or cartridges that is causing the severe lung injury. It has harmful metals and chemicals that can cause cancer that are included in e-cigarettes and or cartridges. So the industry is trying to make smoking a social norm. In a lot of places, and depending on where you live, it is a social norm. And through youth influencers and new products that are growing in popularity, we have a new generation of smokers and vapors that are arriving. And smokers are replacing the older generation of smokers who are dying or sick from smoking and lung-related diseases. So tobacco and vape industries have been known to sponsor different events such as NASCAR or lounges at already occurring events. Vape companies host concerts and social gatherings to bring in younger crowds and often give away free products to smoke and merchandise to wear. Here's an example of targeted advertising in communities of color. The tobacco industry brands smoking as if it's an American way for people who are coming into America. And the tobacco industry brands smoking as if it is, oral and nicotine pouches, which I have over here, the Velos. Lozenges are a new category for tobacco products to addict youth and includes brands such as Zyn, On, and Velo, and they come in many different flavors. So vapes are designed to look discreet, and many of them look like USB drives or highlighters, and most of the time, parents and non-smokers have no clue that they're looking at a vape. Unlike cigarettes, they don't have smoke. Not all of them have smoke or a lingering smell. And vapes have been known to combust while they're in use or travel. Vapes have been known to explode in people's mouths or pockets, and sometimes causing fires while they're charging. The myth about these products is that they're healthier than other tobacco products, and that's not true. Nor are they safer in terms of traveling, apparently. And the vape industry is also purposeful in changing the size and shapes of the device to assist youth in making it undetectable, so parents and those who don't smoke stay alluded to what's going on. And here are some images I have of popular vape devices, of kind of the designs of popular vape devices. The ones furthest to the right resemble puff bars, and then the other ones look like Juuls, and then you have some THC cartridges and pens. And so some nicotine pods can contain as much nicotine as a pack of cigarettes. And the pods and the cartridges that these pens come in, they have a large variety of flavors. And the flavors that the vape companies target with youth, the companies target youth and communities of color. So there's some crazy flavors on here. The flavors in products that come are familiar to us, like sriracha, apple juice, candies, and other flavors that are enticing. These flavors sometimes look so much like candy and kid-friendly products that it's hard to tell them apart. Jewel and Puff Bar come in bright colors that youth find cool and attractive, and they usually tend to be more interested in those than traditional tobacco products. As you can see from the horchata on there and the horchata vape juice and the apple juice on there, the industry is blatantly trying to target certain crowds with some of these flavors here. So flavors don't just refer to vapes. Another relevant conversation for flavors involves cigarillos or little cigars. And these flavored tobacco products are especially dangerous due to their popularity in music and, mainstream media. And a lot of people think that it's cool to smoke on blunts, which is what these are usually made for, marijuana rolled up with these flavored cigarillos. So some of the other tobacco products like flavored hookah tips, which are the lollipops I have pictured over to the top left. There are blunt wraps, snus, which is the pouch tobacco in the middle. And there's also traditional chewing tobacco. And there's also a variety of flavors in all of these. Policymakers are making the mistake of exempting menthol from flavor bans, assuming that this is not a flavor that youth use anymore. And that is not true. The reality is that menthol is a starter flavor for most youth and first-time smokers, because menthol numbs the throat and allows smokers to breathe in more. And usually that tends to having more long-term health issues. So as a society, we became shockingly aware of the dangers vaping brings with the influx of youth hospitalized in 2017. At least for me, it was a huge eye-opener for me to see how dangerous these products were when I noticed that. This chart shows that the rising vape usage in middle school to high school in students from 2019. So mood changes and switches in behavior are normal with youth, but these changes can provide to be more drastic with vape use. Smokers and vapors will seem restless, irritated at times due to nicotine withdrawal. Smoking or vaping also causes nose bleedings because the vapes can dry out the sinuses, resulting in bleeding. And I guess some other things to look for, if you're curious, you could smell a sweet smell sometimes. There's not always smoke, and it dissipates quickly, but you can still smell the sweet smell from a vape most of the time. There are cotton balls used to clean the metallic wires. So if you see some of those lying around, that could also be a sign. And also unfamiliar USB chargers. So what can parents do? Not to use any tobacco or vape products. Talk about your kids about the dangers of smoking around yourself and the people around you. Educate your kids that e-cigarettes contain nicotine, a highly addictive substance, and it is not easy to quit once you get started. Advocate for comprehensive tobacco prevention policies. If that's something that you're interested in doing or you want more info about, contact me and I will set you up. And so here's some things if you want to know about talking to your kid or some of your kids at school about preventing or using vapes and tobacco. Know the facts. Get some credible information about the products, about what's common. Be patient and ready to listen. Avoid criticism and encourage an open dialogue. Remember your goal is to have a conversation, not to deliver a lecture. And it's okay for your conversation to take place over little bits and pieces of time. So here's some resources, a couple of websites here. I will be sending the slides out if you want to get those, if you want to take a picture so you can get to some of the sites. Some of these resources can be found, or all these resources are found online. Some of them have hotlines you can call. Some of them you have online chat functions, and other ones are like clinical approaches where you could make some type of appointment if you were trying to quit smoking in any type of way. But most of these are information based if you just wanted to figure out, just get some more resources and some more information. All of these are a good place to start. And so soldiers are our youth advocates for tobacco control. You heard a little bit about them earlier, about the youth opportunities with Tarsha earlier. These youth are involved to do volunteer opportunities that specialize in tobacco prevention related civic engagement. They receive free training and participate in community activities and trainings, and also a chance to participate in virtual conferences with other youth doing the same work and with the same opportunities statewide. The soldiers speak to decision makers, encouraging them to adopt flavor restriction ordinance. As a result, the youth involvement in the city of Sacramento passed, like we heard about earlier. And the youth took the stand to talk about it. Here are a photograph at the bottom. That's them at the city council there. And that was a great day for youth involvement to see that win. And the same opportunities are available to any youth that want to get civically involved. All right. And that was my presentation, guys. I appreciate you for listening. And here's my email and Twyla's email. If you guys have any questions, let me go ahead and look in the chat. I didn't see if there are any questions going on in there. But if you guys have any other questions, there's my contact information. Yes. And thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you guys so much. I learned so much in such a short period of time. So if any of you guys are remember, actually today out there with lunch, I see a couple of my BSU students. Tamaj last year was on the team. He was one of the East Union soldiers. And
okay.
Yeah, and also Jaden Martin, she graduated last spring, and she was also one. So those students, they were trained, and they went to McParland and trained the McParland parents. That's one of the elementary schools around the corner as part of their project. And they won a pretty heavy monetary award from BSCU.
Nice
work that they did. So
that's what's up.
That's awesome. I remember when they were working on that presentation, but I didn't get to see the end result. So that's good.
You know, I'll send you the BSCU link because they're still doing soldiers, and they have lots of pictures of BSCU members, and their project is on the BSCU website as well. So I'll make sure I send that to you.
Oh yeah, please do. We love hearing about that, and we would love to reconnect with them too, because just to, expound on what it was that Rich was talking about with our soldiers, we know that over the past year, we really have had a reduction in the amount of youth who are able to be engaged in the program. And that's the whole reasoning, peer-to-peer education is the whole reasoning behind the training of the soldiers. In addition to, when we want them to go and talk to decision makers, to let them know exactly how powerful their voice is and exactly what it is that they want for their community. So I know that Mr. Mora, is it Mora? You were talking about, yeah, thank you. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, forgive me. So you were talking about the curriculum, and one of the things that we like to do is many students, as many teachers, as many parents that we can talk to about these issues and train. We would like to do that. And we know how burdened and burnt out sometimes that instructors can be. And so if we as experts can come in, we have a lot of different tobacco control partners up and down the state of California, so that, we can add them in. There is one doctor that's in San Francisco that has a class that intersects hip hop and marketing and tobacco control. So it's a very interesting class. I think the kids would love that. So yeah, we can meet offline and talk more at any time. And if there's other parent groups you'd like us to participate in, we would love to do that too.
Thank you. Yeah, things have changed so much with Tarsha sharing the data on just the last few years, the increases that we've seen. It was so strange because we actually became most knowledgeable. There was a student that had some things, and we kind of had a good relationship, and he just really was educating the admin team at the time of what was going on, because we even had kids who thought, hey, it's just water. I could, I'm 18. He blew it right, happened to be in a teacher's face after school walking out of a door. And he thought, what? It's just a vapor, it's water. And, this was a few years back, and lost as to, well, what is it? We're having to scramble and catch up. And it's so hard and non-detectable. Those little cartridges can be hidden. Police officers that we have at SRO can't even detect with the Stagnus test that they use. We had an administrator who actually was purchasing some tests, but it's so hard and non-detectable, like you said, Richardson, with the smell. We know when we hear, even in class, kids will try to, and again, a lot of it is the freshmen trying to be cool, trying to, really stretch it. And I think truly this is the only way that we can take the best approach, is to be informational and sharing that. I'm also curious if there's any data that could be shared about the impact on the mind. I've even gone and looked at, some of the information articles, and sometimes just looking on the web, a lot of it can be so contradictory with what's safe and what isn't. But I don't know if any studies have been. It's relatively, we're, like I said, new. If you have any other data that we could share with kids that to really show the impact that it's going to have on their mind.
Oh yeah. We definitely have different type of studies. California is one of the leading researchers on this, and we're part of a couple of national organizations that have a lot of data on that as well. So we're definitely here to assist you. Just whatever you do, teachers and administrators on the line, you're not alone. All of the school districts had to scramble in order to figure out how it is to combat this. All of them are still changing their bylaws and their rules and regulations on how to deal with this, and spending on a dime to try to create different curriculums. So not only is the public health department available in order to lead you to different sources, but we're here as well. So I'm glad that you all reached out, and we look forward to assisting you with this issue, and hopefully doing more education and empowering these kids to have a voice versus punishing and
right.
suspension.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich, did you have anything else to add? Because Rich is our community engagement coordinator. So he
Hello.
is the one who's going to be leading the charge on a lot of the classes. We'll exchange,
Indeed. Yes. And I just saw someone ask me in the chat if a student wanted to be involved. Yes, totally. Send me an email. My email is on the screen right now. And yeah, that was all. Thank you again for letting me come talk to you guys. This was fun.
Thank you. And one of the things at our school, the reason why we invited you guys out, and we had the soul trained students, if you will, no pun intended, the soul trained students last year, is because we're looking at different ways of disciplining and just disciplining in the sense of teaching. And so for us, the students who are vaping, we're putting together programming where kids are learning, and we found an excellent curriculum out of Stanford that can teach them about what they're doing to their bodies and what they're doing to the environment and their futures, ultimately, as well as teaching parents. So we brought this to parents tonight. We have the video, but then we also want to address students differently than we have in the past. So if anyone has any closing comments, I just can't thank you enough. Richardson, thank you so much, Twyla, for being available, and all of the folks who joined us tonight. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Are there any questions or remarks that you have for tonight? BSU kids, I see a couple of them. I want you guys, can you guys introduce yourselves? Janae, J. Marie, can you introduce yourselves, please?
Hi, my name's Janae Pierre. I'm the Vice President of BSU, and I'm just glad to be here tonight.
Thank you. J.
Pleasure
Marie.
to meet you.
My name is J. Marie McCarter, and I'm a sophomore at East Union, and I joined BSU because I want to be more interactive and more open and more into like culture and more in the background of African Americans and more helping out people in my community.
That's what's up.
Excellent.
So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Very valuable. Good job, Tarsha.
Thank you, Raul. All right, you all have a wonderful night.
You as well.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look
Good
forward
night.
to working with you.
Yes, most definitely. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.